Get to that. This is an image from the video that you saw. It was 12:30 at night. That is his cat, Dexter. That is the shooter's cat. That magazine is loaded, and it was shoved on a table to load it, not a proper or safe way to handle a firearm. And there is a round in the chamber, and the safety is off because red means dead, and Special Agent Brandon told you that. Even if James Crumbley was standing next to his son, that would still be an extremely dangerous way to handle a firearm. But we do know what happened, because he told his friend when he texted it to him. My dad left it out, so I thought, why not? This is precisely the reason there's a legal duty in the state of Michigan to prevent your kid from harming himself or somebody else. All I need is my 9mm pistol, which I currently am begging my dad for. This is from his journal. First off, I got my gun. It's a Sig Sauer 9mm. Second, the shooting is tomorrow. I have access to the gun and the ammo. I have access to the gun and the ammo. Then we have defendant's own statements. James Crumbley said it's a substation. James responded when asked where the gun was. It was hidden in our armoire in the case, and the bullets were hidden in a completely different spot underneath some jeans. Here's what he doesn't say. Never claims it was locked, never says it was inaccessible to his son, and again, never says or expresses any surprise on how his son got a hold of it. We know he took him to the range. We showed you videos and images of that. In fact, 8 times we know that happened. We know that throughout June, July, August, September, October, by November, when he begged his dad for the 9mm, and he actually did buy it for him, now he's at the point where he can instruct other people. It's James Crumbley's son that knows more about guns and when he takes his mom to the range. And how did he learn? James Crumbley taught him. He didn't take himself to the range with his dad. This is the shooter 2 days, 1 day after the gun was purchased for him. He's packing it up. What don't you see? The cable lock. It's not even in a case anymore. And there it is. That's the cable lock that was provided that day, with the pamphlet and with the gun. Just the day before. It's already out of the case. Here's where the other 2 guns were found, in that bedroom, in defendant's bedroom, in a safe, in the TV stand. The code was 000. The important thing is that the SIG could not fit into that gun safe. Could not fit it. It's impossible. But the other important thing is you're hearing a claim that James Crumbley didn't think that he had to lock his weapon up. Okay. It's not about whether you locked the weapon. It's about whether you made it secure. And we already know he felt the need and understood his duty to lock the other 2. Special Agent Brandon read to you the lines, if he had opened it up, if he had read it, if he had believed it, those deaths could have been prevented. If he had just read it and just did the simplest of things. This is the crime scene. There were 32 shots fired that day by James Crumbley's son. How do we know this was foreseeable? The shooter says in his journal, "I have zero help for my mental problems, and it's causing me to shoot up the fucking school." You heard a lot during during jury selection and opening about kids exaggerate to their friends. This is his journal. He's not sending it to a friend. He's expressing his state, which was desperate because he needed help. "I want help, but my parents don't listen to me, so I can't get any help. My parents won't listen to me about help or a therapist. I can't even say with a straight face or even find a way to explain the rationale behind a 15-year-old that desperate writing that in a journal because he was exaggerating or lying." We have the text between James Crumbley's son and his friend about exactly what he wrote about in the journal. He hears people talking to someone in the distance. "I actually asked my dad to take me to the doctor yesterday, but he just gave me some pills and told me to suck it up." Again, teenagers exaggerating to make themselves look better, to impress. None of these text messages to his friend make him look better. None of them make him look impressive. They just make him look desperate and sad and wanting help. "I'm having bad insomnia and paranoia. I need help. I was thinking I could call 911 so I could go to the hospital." This was in April. "But then my parents would be really pissed. I'm going to ask my parents to go to the doctors tomorrow or Tuesday again. But this time I'm going to tell them about the voices. And then on April 5th, like I am mentally and physically dying." What did James Crumbley know? He knew the family dog had died. A grandmother had just died. His son's only friend, the one person he had any social contact with, abruptly leaving. Can't even text him. Knew his son was completely isolated. Knew he had looked up bullets the day before. Knew he was upset the night before. Knew he had been watching videos that morning, violent videos. And then he sees that drawing. He sees that drawing that morning when he goes to the school, and what does it say? It says, "Help me." How many times does this kid have to say it? He says it in his journal. He says it to his friend. And what is he saying? "I asked my parents. I asked my dad." And then if that isn't enough, he writes the words, "Help me," on a piece of paper. And his parents, James Crumbley, is called to the school to see it. And what does he say? He says, "We got to go to work." He describes his son as a perfect kid, never gets in trouble. Well, you know, if you have a perfect kid that never gets in trouble, being called to the school abruptly that day and asked to come and saying your kid needs help is about 100 out of 10 in terms of how troubling it is for a parent, if it's that unusual. He knows his son is proficient with guns because 4 days earlier he purchased that weapon for him. This is James Crumbley's son on the morning of the shooting, November 30th, being dropped off, like every day, by James Crumbley. And here's the worksheet. The thoughts won't stop. Help me. You have a picture of someone bleeding with bullet holes. You have a picture of the exact gun. It says blood everywhere. My life is useless. The world is dead. This is the worksheet James Crumbley looked at when it was texted to him. This is the worksheet he sat and looked at when he sat in that counselor's office. Those are the words he was reading when his wife said, "We can't do that today. We have to work."